Hey everybody, it's on screen, off screen, and I have the pleasure to announce our favorite person is back. Lauren went on a great long vacation, sounded intense. She drove all the way to Montana, Washington, down to California, back. She is a world traveler and she has graced us with her presence. And I'm just incredibly grateful that she's here. I'm grateful that Josh is here. We watch movies, we read books, we watch TV shows, and we share the good things, and hopefully those good things will spread a little happiness for you. We are going to start with Josh. We're going to start with Josh. What do you got?
So I'm just going to follow up on what Conlon and I talked about last week.
Yeah.
The topic is Empire of the Vampire by Jake Kristoff. Last week I told you I was about four-fifths of the way through, two-thirds ish kind of area. I was able to finish this yesterday. And
Okay.
imagine me being just oh so giddy because I am so excited about this book. It took a
Good.
wild turn. I didn't see anything coming. It was built up to perfectly. Um, Sometimes they just take a big, huge left turn, and it's like, holy crap, that came out of nowhere. But this one, it was like, holy crap. Looking back at all the information I had been given leading up to this moment, my mind is absolutely freaking blown. Um,
That's awesome.
this book is absolutely awesome. Um, I truly believe this could be an all timer for you.
Like
This
favorite
is
book ever?
I don't know, possibly
Okay.
because it's fringe for me. I'm thinking about it and I'm like, this could
Wow.
crack my top 10. And the Conlon is way more into vampires and
I
intrigue
am.
and all the things that are in this book. Like it is a kind of a longer book, but our main character Gabriel is like this cynic, so it goes into things like religion. It talks about things like what is free will. If God can see the future and he already knows, does that mean that we are even choosing our choices? It
Oh,
talks
I
about
love
that
that.
kind of stuff in this book about how the old vampire lord has taken over the world and cast it into darkness, and our main hero is a reluctant hero and
Very cool.
meets this person who they go on a journey to save the Holy Grail. And we know from the very beginning that they fail, but we're getting a narrator tell the story through that lens of I failed. And still you're getting to the end, and I'm like, no way, no way, no way, no way. Come on. No, you can't be doing this to me. Really? No? I still want this to work out. Why is this not working out? And then we get to the end, and I'm like, I have to start the next book as fast as humanly possible. Um, so I gave it a tentative 8.5 last time. I'm bumping it up to a 9. Um, I may calm a little bit on it once some time passes, but I am really excited about it now in this moment. I think it's a brilliant book. I like the writing style. Lauren, I didn't. You weren't here for this part, but the premise that this is taken is our main character Gabriel is imprisoned. He knows that he is on death row, and he has been tasked to talk to the vampire historian of the vampire family that captured him and tell them the story of how he went to go save the Holy Grail. Because as far as the vampires know, this guy did it, or possibly did it, or found the Holy Grail and re-hid it, or whatever. So we're following along, and he's telling this story to this historian while also giving the backstory of himself. So he's talking about how he grew up, what his life was like, what tribulations he was put through, because he himself is half vampire, and how he hunted down and killed certain vampire leaders and this kind of thing and the other kind of thing. And it's very interesting written because it's like an interview. So there's a moment where one of the characters, side characters, reveals that she was pretending to be a boy all along to learn how to fight. Mulan moment. Literally gets out of bed because of an injury, and they say boobs, right? And instead of following through with this scene, the interviewer interrupts him telling the story and makes fun of him for not knowing that this was a girl all along. Um, so there's humor in it. Uh, the idea is very, very cool. I am still. I told Conlon this book has been inspiring me to do like a D&D campaign, but really two D&D campaigns. One where it is like a previous version. This has nothing to do with the actual story. It just has stuff to do with vampires. And you have another campaign where it's set like in the present, and you have the events lead up to, and then you reveal that like, oh no, this is the same world, and you have a big crossover. Anyway, very inspiring, very very cool, very very good writing.
That sounds super sick. That sounds really good. Really good. Is there anything that you don't like about the book?
I don't like how hard it is for me to personally follow, because it
Okay.
is that interview format, which is very, very cool. It also means somebody who has ADHD like me who will get distracted for half a second and then be like, wait, why is this character here?
What?
What's going on? How did we get here? Oh, and then you rewind 5 seconds and you realize I didn't miss anything. I just got distracted mentally, and it's, yeah, that part is,
Are there any like super badass fights?
there's
Like you're just like,
lots.
holy damn. Okay, cool.
There is a
Okay.
scene where our main character, Gabriel,
Mhm.
our reluctant hero, is um, tasked with escorting this group of humans who are very, very weak, um, with trying to get them out while 1,000 vampires come and hunt them.
That sounds so sick. That sounds so good.
Yeah. There's tons of it. So Gabriel has killed not one, but multiple vampire leaders. They're in traditional vampire form. They're split into families, and each family has its own unique vampire power. And the
That's
higher up
cool
the
too.
lineage, so you get these cool fights. You get all of these things. You get Gabriel, who's like an out of practice. He gave up his hero work. He decided, this sucks. This isn't real. I'm a cynic, but I'm going to do it out of duty mentality. And for those who have been watched this podcast, I am a sucker for when there's a reluctant daddish figure who just gets all soft because he has to, and we get that in this, and it's, I really really like this a lot.
Okay. I'm going to listen to it. I now that we have it on Plex, I'm definitely gonna start that like now.
With like the reluctant father figure, is that like Last of Us and Treasure Planet, where it's like the um I'm trying to think of, I can't think of anybody's name.
So
Joel
Oh,
and I don't know the one in Treasure Planet.
oh yeah, yeah, Joel. And then that, is that like the reluctant father figure that then, or is it a more specific different type of?
it's kind of like that. So our main character Gabriel, right? We're following three timelines. We have his
Mhm.
upbringing, we have his quest for the Holy Grail, and we have the present where he's talking to the vampire historian. So in his past, We learn that like he was ostracized, made to feel different because of his bloodline, because he was half vampire. He was treated like a monster, um, and isolated and bullied and picked on and all these kinds of things, which leads to him giving up and saying, God must not be real because I devoted my life to him and he did nothing but leave me in this situation where I am alone, I'm cast out, I am isolated, whatever, right? And then in walks this young boy, Dion, who needs to get to, he's wanting to be part of this quest for the Holy Grail to hopefully end the night so the world is cast in eternal darkness so that the vampires don't have to worry about day or night. They can come out and do what they need to do. Um, so they're trying to get the Holy Grail so that they can end the day night, whatever they call it. So he's very much like, this is never going to work. We're all going to die. This is going to suck. If we do this, you're literally being hunted by the highest ranking, most effective vampires in the world are trying to kill you right now, sir. And you don't even know how to hold a sword, much less. So, like, there's even a dialogue where Gabriel is telling Dion, like, hey, you would be more effective without a sword. That's how bad you are with a sword. Um, but because he kind of was raised in this religious family called the Silver Saints, um, he feels a duty to do it anyway. So the entire time he's like challenging Dion's belief, telling him
Wait,
why his faith in Christ is just wrong and terrible, why this, that, and the other is, why his choices are wrong, all these kinds of things, but still feels the duty to go along and protect this innocent life.
why does he have to have a sword? How does the sword connect to religious family? It's just the duty to protect, and he feels like he needs a sword to do that, or
The sword is just a weapon. I mean, it's not just a weapon, so his sword is sentient.
oh, I see.
And can communicate telepathically, but that has nothing to do with the religion.
Okay,
That was just an
the
example of
religion is the
how
duty part.
innocent and weak Dion is, right? How
Interesting.
useless Dion is. So he's like, not only are you being hunted by the best vampires, you can't defend yourself, kind of mentality. That's all that was to say, like, Dion, you're useless. Don't even pick up a sword. You can't do anything with it. So it is kind of the Last of Us Joel relationship, but if Ellie was completely useless, and there's not really so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Joel kind of teaches Ellie some things about survival and fighting. He doesn't do
Definitely.
that every single time. There's every single time that Dion wants to learn how to fight, he's like, "No, you're useless. You're weak. You're scrawny. You could barely hold the sword at the first place. Just leave the fighting to me." So it is a little different in that way, but yeah, reluctant protector kind of fatherish figure to a little younger boy is, I don't know. I'm a sucker. I really like it. I think it's very well done in this, and it totally pays
Dude,
off. It's so good.
I know you're not gonna watch it, but you should really watch Knights of the Seven Kingdoms. There's literally that is the story of that season. It's so freaking good. This book sounds amazing. I am absolutely 100% reading this for sure. Yeah, once I'm done with my surprise book, which I will probably talk about next week, it'll be the next one on my list.
It's so good.
Sounds incredible. With that, let's go to. I'll go next. The newest season of Vox Machina. Have you seen it, Lauren?
I've seen up to a point. I'm trying to remember what that point is. Oh, yes. Um, Josh, are you gonna watch this, or can I spoil where I'm at?
Go ahead. I don't plan to watch it.
Um, Grog gets eviscerated. That's where I got to. Because I
That
think I was
is,
watching it as it was coming out. So.
but you already know the story though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I got to that episode, and I was like, well, never mind, I'm not going to bed. And I just watched. I love this season. Like, love this season. One of my favorite seasons of TV I have ever seen. Like, I loved it. And I thought that when, well, what's his name? The one that isn't in this season that plays
Scanlan.
music. Yeah, when he wasn't in this, I was like, it's not going to be as good. The reason Scanlan isn't in it is the guy who voices him had throat cancer and he's having to recover. He's supposed to be in the next season. I actually kind of preferred it without him in it. It got rid of a lot of the cringy R-rated stuff that I actually don't love in this season. There was significantly less, and it made the entire thing more enjoyable. The character that they replaced him with grows on me because at the beginning of the show I was kind of like, I don't know about this dude, but by the end I was like, this guy's great.
So, have you listened to the podcast of
Not
Vox
this one.
Machina? So,
No.
actually, Sam's character Scanlan does leave at that juncture.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just so happened also that they just didn't have him voice his other character that he played, which is this new character that comes in, which is also Sam's character. So they got a
Oh,
new voice actor to voice that character other than Sam. Because
interesting.
it truly was like, I mean, like good timing if you were gonna have throat surgery.
Great timing.
But yeah, that
Great.
character actually exists in the podcast, and I actually quite love um, him in the series. Like, yeah. So anyway, it wasn't just made up for the series. It was
That is
actually, yeah.
literally miraculous timing. That's insane. That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, he grew on me a ton. I genuinely liked the character by the end of the season.
Yeah.
The episode where they're having to get the knowledge from the books, and you've got Pike and Grog, and they're going through the library, and Pike gets the fists on and has to turn the wheel. I love that episode. I love that episode
Yeah.
so much.
Where Grog gets smart.
Yeah, Grog gets smart is incredible, and then when he gets dumb, he's like, it's gone.
What's really funny is in the series, they transform him at one point into an eagle. He's like, "Oh, what's your eagle stats?" And then he like looks at it and he's like, "Oh, what are the stats for an eagle?" So you look at it and he's like, "I'm smarter as an eagle." Because his character stats were so low. And so I thought it was funny that yeah, it's a really good gimmick.
That is hilarious. Grog is so good. But the reason that I love this season so much was Pike. For basically the entire show, Pike has been dealing with religion and feeling like her gods have abandoned her. And some of the other seasons feel like, okay, we have this story, we told this story, cool, we're moving on, we never reference it again. Pike's dealing with religion, I think, is incredibly well written, and it's been building the entire time. It builds to this crescendo that is fantastic. Grog has been killed, and a demigod type character is bringing people back to life. And everybody's following him because he says he's going to defeat death and allow people to live forever. That's his goal. So people are willing to die for him to reach that goal so they can live with their loved ones forever, kind of a thing. The way that it's approached, the way that it's written, I think is brilliant. Like, absolutely 100% incredible. The animation is a different level in this season. I thought it was fantastic. Pike's deal with religion and then her abandonment of gods in general and her fighting the entire Vox Machina team, you'll get there, Lauren, is great. It's so good. Um, I love this season. You should finish it, Lauren. You should watch it at 12 times. I am going to watch the entire thing again. I like this season so much. I'm going to watch the entire show again. Like, that is how good I thought this season was. My one complaint is I wish Pike has a moment where she turns dark, and I wish that would have lasted longer. Because it's kind of like one episode she turns dark, and the next episode her friends snap her out of it. And I would have loved for the end of the season to be Pike has rejected the gods, Pike has rejected Vox Machina, and now we have to figure out how to save Pike and deal with this new god that has surfaced because of what we did. That would have been cool, where there's a separation there. I'm still happy with a God has been born and they have to deal with that. The twist of the God being born, the twist of the fact that you were killing him, created the God. Great. I love this season. It's fantastic. The last episode, to me, might be a 10. I might give that one episode a 10. I might do it. It was that good. I love the last episode of the show, of this season. This episode, the season as a whole, I'm giving a 9.5. There's a few dips, but otherwise it's really, really good. And it raised Vox Machina as a show up a level, because I would have given it like an 8, probably right around there. I'm going to give it like an 8.4. It raised the entire show up in my mind because it's that good.
Nice. Yeah, I prefer the podcast just because I keep getting lost in where we are politically, quest wise and stuff in the show, because it doesn't follow quite exactly with the podcast. So I'm like, I think I've been a little bit lazy with watching the show since I know the podcast, and then I'm like, wait, what part is this? And I'm like trying to jam it into the podcast, and so it's like I think I get a little bit confused with what's going on in the show. But I still think it's been really good. So I'm glad you
I
enjoyed
didn't
it.
really have a desire to watch the podcast before this season. Like,
Mm.
because do they have Pike reject the gods for a little bit longer? Does it feel like it has more room to breathe?
That might be exclusive to the show.
Oh, then
leave it at that.
they did a great change, because that's fantastic.
But they might have done that in the podcast, because like what happens is I can't remember what the actress's name is that voices Pike, but
Ashley Johnson.
Ashley, she was doing The Last of Us at this point, and so she was gone a lot of the times, or she would have to like televise in and stuff, and so they would just come up with like story reasons why she wasn't there, or she had to be away, or things like that. So it could have been one of those parts, but I can't remember. It's been a while since I listened to the podcast. But
I might,
yeah.
I might listen to it. 'Cause it was very good. Anyway, guys, if you're into that kind of stuff at all and you're watching this, just freaking watch Vox Machina. It's so good. It's so good. All right, Laura, what do we got?
Okay, so I watched the last season of Shrinking.
Sweet.
I know Josh had thoughts and feelings of it not being as good as the other seasons. I disagree. I really enjoyed this season. But I think that's just because I could relate to more things this season than, and I think Josh could relate more with what was going on in the other seasons. But I still thought that this one was really good. Because you have, there's a lot of people coming to like the end of, era is not the right thing, but like there's a lot of things that are ending. So like Jimmy's daughter is graduating, she's moving off. So there's like a lot of change that's happening in this season. And you have Harrison Ford's character is deciding that he wants to like quit his work so that he can focus more on family. And so then Jimmy's like trying to deal with like all of this change and things like that. I am somebody who very much hates change, struggles with change, and like this was one for me, I think. Uh, and then it focused on a little bit more on I can't think of the character's name, but she's the other therapist in with Jimmy and Harrison Ford's character, and it focuses more on her struggles as being a therapist, kind of how she is trying to do Jimmy's method or whatever, and she tries it and she loses that patient. That patient commits, they aren't sure if she commits suicide or if she just mixed pills and drinks and didn't make it. Um, and so, like, overdosed and didn't mean to. Uh, so, like, that character was somebody who struggled to ask for help and was lonely, and the therapist didn't realize at one point when she was like calling the therapist that she was asking for help, when she was like, hey, do you want to like hang out, do you want to go do this thing, and she's like, oh, I'm busy right now, but like rain check or whatever. And then that was the night that she ended up like drinking, and then it ended up killing her. And so the therapist like wanted to find out if it was like intentional or not, because she was like, that could have been me, like I could have, anyway. So there was like a lot of very interesting points made in this season. I don't really think that it was really saying that like you should or shouldn't do this, but like it kind of more explored what happened in this scenario, if that makes sense. So it didn't feel pushy to me of like, oh, well, she shouldn't or she should have done this. This is just something that had happened and how she was dealing with it is how I took it, if that makes sense. And so, anyway, I thought it was a very interesting season with Jimmy like learning how to deal with all of his change, and then him getting like mad at Harrison Ford, and then realizing that he was actually like mad at his dad. Like they had this really great scene where he blows up on Harrison Ford and he's like, you're not mad at me. He's like, you're yelling at the wrong person. Um yeah, he's Jimmy's actor is an amazing actor. um that scene had me tearing up. uh yeah, this season had me feeling feelings, and it was great. um I'm now just going to rate things either 1 or 10 now because I'm lazy. So it's 10. If I like it, it was a 10. If I didn't like it, it's a 1. So we're going 10.
Hey, what's Black Panther?
1. So
Hey, that sounds so. They didn't. You don't know if it was a suicide or not.
they don't confirm, like they don't
Okay. Do
yeah,
you think
say
it
it one
was?
way or another. I think it was more of a like it's up to you to interpret it. I interpret it as it was she took some pills and she drank. She could have intended or maybe not, but either way, like I think it was her just trying to self-medicate and it was an overdose. I don't think the intention was there even though she was hurting, if that makes sense. I think it was just
What do you
self-medication.
What do you think, Josh?
I have no opinion.
Okay.
He's barely
I
staying awake.
will have to watch this season.
Yeah,
I'll have to
I
watch these a
enjoyed it.
bunch. I'll have to catch up. Cool. So a solid 10, huh?
Yeah, anything's either a 10 or a 1. We're going 10 because I enjoyed it. So,
Okay, I think our next topic, our shared topic, is going to be a 10 for Lauren, so she got a 10 or a what?
except
Let's.
Josh has another topic.
Oh, shoot. Josh has another topic. Josh, I forgot. I missed your other topic. What do you got?
It's okay. This one will be very, very short and quick to the point. Uh, been in a rewatch comfort watching things lately. So I have been rewatching the show Chuck. This is one of Conlon's all-time favorite shows. It is absolutely worth it. This show is so freaking good. Um, Honestly, I think this show has some problems in it. Um, it becomes very much like we're gonna create this barrier to create this barrier. It is absolutely silly that the monster of the week is something happening in Los Angeles that is like a terrorist organization. Somebody's trying to kill the president. Somebody's planted a bomb. Somebody, and it's like, okay, like,
A nerve agent is in the city and they're
what
transferring,
if,
they're making the deal today.
what if one time it was in San Francisco? You know, like, what if one time it was somewhere different? Um, so, like, I do acknowledge that there are some logical flaws with this show. I think that there are some writing flaws with this show. Um, they constantly write themselves in circles. Bryce is dead like three different times, and it's like, just let him die. Get a new character. Move on. Um, However, I think that this is one of the most brilliantly cast shows of all time. I cannot think of another show that I'm like, I wouldn't replace any of the actors. Because, like, Bryce, brilliant. Chuck, brilliant. Sarah, brilliant. Uh, can't believe I'm blanking on his
Morgan,
name. Morgan is
brilliant.
brilliant. The NSA
Casey is
guy, Casey
brilliant.
is brilliant. The general is brilliant. A lot of these
The
side
annoying
characters, they're
two
great. Yeah,
side characters are perfect.
yeah. They do some very cool action sequences for a show that's like early 2000s and kind of cheap budget. Um, they make our two, you know, soldier people, Sarah and Casey, actually feel badass. And um, so while it has flaws, it's completely overshadowed by just how great this cast was and how well they fit their characters. Um, there are some character actors that I could point to and be like, well, they could have done it, but I don't think anybody could have done it better. And that is wild for a show because literally every single show, like even some of my favorites, I'm like, this could have been done better. This actor was the wrong choice for that role, I think, or whatever. But this one is so overshadowed, even though it does have some issues.
And it's crazy how good the chemistry is with everybody. Like Chuck and Sarah obviously have great chemistry, but Chuck, and it's a different kind of chemistry. Sarah and Casey have a good chemistry, but it's different than a lot of shows have. Chuck and Casey have great chemistry. There's a good chemistry. Morgan and Chuck feel like best friends that have been friends for their entire lives. Like it has that kind of feeling.
Yeah,
Um, Chuck and his sister feel like family. It's just remarkable, honestly.
yeah, for sure. It is a weird show. If somebody hasn't seen Chuck for whatever reason, this is a show I could literally recommend to everyone. Um, we talk about Avatar The Last Airbender, and part of its brilliance is that it's for kids and deals with adult things. I don't think that this is necessarily a show like that, in that it deals with a lot of super serious stuff, but it deals with some, and I think kids could absolutely watch this show. I don't think it aged poorly. I don't think it looks bad in hindsight looking at it today. It's just a fantastic show. It's so good. And everybody should watch it all of the time.
Have you seen it, Lauren? Okay.
Nope.
Miranda from Mass Effect.
Okay.
Sarah voices Miranda, and literally they just drew, like they animated what Sarah would look like if she was a brunette.
Weird.
But anyway, you should watch this. I guarantee you would have a fun with time with this show. You just would. You would like it.
The basic premise is the government is working on a super secret computer to basically coordinate um, intelligences between the FBI, CIA, and NSA. I was actually looking it up. Amazingly, this came out after 9/11 and is not about the facts that if they had shared their intelligence, we could have stopped 9/11.
Wow.
Wild thing for me, just whatever. But yeah, so they're build this supercomputer. Chuck's old roommate Bryce breaks in and steals the computer intelligence and sends it to Chuck, who is a Geek Squad person working at Best Buy, essentially. And he gets the email, he opens it up, and it imprints all of the government information in Chuck's brain. And so when he looks at a bomb, he has a flash where he sees the information that has to do with the bomb. Or if he sees Conlon's face, he has a flash of everything that Conlon has done to anger the federal government. And so he's basically like he's always supposed to just sit in the van and watch and flash and give necessary intelligence stuff. But he's also a computer
But he
guy, so
never
he
stays in
comes
the
and
van.
used in that way. And he never stays in the van. There's an episode where he sees this Chinese girl breaking into this place and flashes that she's a Chinese spy. And so when this Chinese guy in a wheelchair comes rolling out of it after there was gunfire, he goes and like rescues the old guy and is like being a good Samaritan. And then the Chinese chick comes and she's like, "That guy stole my brother. I'm just trying to get him back." And then so there's like good humor in it. It's a very very good show. I know you at least kind of like Psych. Um, it has a similar vibe to kind of that kind of a show. You know, you have a crime of the week where they go and they solve it and everything's good and fine and dandy. By the end of it, there's good plots, there's good writing, there's great characters. It's great. So you should watch it.
I recommend. I recommend. All right. What's your rating? How much of this are you rating? Season one? Or are you rating the whole show? What are you rating?
Just the whole show. I'm rating the show again 8.5. I do think that the later seasons get a little exhausting. But the first few seasons of this show are absolutely brilliant. And, you know, I'm very happy that this hasn't shown up on a let's remake this or reboot this series because it's like, while I do think they could go back and rewrite and make things like work better, kind of like they're trying to do with White Collar, I don't think that they could hit the cast the same way. Like they wouldn't get the cast right and it wouldn't work. But it is a great, absolutely fantastic show.
I would actually be down for a follow up movie for this show. This is one of the few that I would actually be okay with it.
I wouldn't, because who would they get to be the cast?
No, like a follow up movie with the original cast. If they did one of those things,
old now.
I know. That's why I could think could be funny. Casey as an old man would be hilarious.
Actors can't act when they're old. You know, they just
they do a lot of ninja stuff, so it's like I don't know. I'm glad it is like, what it is.
Chuck has a flash, and he's like, "Oh, my back!" That would be hilarious and would totally fit in with Chuck. It would be funny. It would be funny.
Don't like it, but okay.
Anyway, let's go to our shared topic, which I will just give my thoughts because my thoughts are pretty short. But I genuinely love this. It's my octopus teacher. A Is he a researcher? He's a researcher, right? Yeah, a researcher dives down and makes friends with an octopus, and he follows the octopus throughout its entire life, and they develop a relationship together. And the researcher, while being friends, realizes the octopus has to live its life and he has to watch. So there's times where the octopus is going through something hard. It gets attacked. It gets pain. There's pain, and he has to just watch things happen and observe. And it shows that line between um, understanding nature and changing nature, which I really appreciate. I love the relationship that the researcher has with the octopus. I love that the researcher gets to do what he does every day, and we get to see a part of his life because his life looks absolutely amazing. And you form a connection with this octopus too. And when the octopus passes away at the end of the movie, it feels like you feel it. It lived a long, good life. It lived a happy life, but it still is a little creature that's gone. And I'm not the most animal loving person. This movie made me love this little octopus creature. It made me want to go see an octopus. It made me love octopuses and look up the facts of like them squeezing through holes like this big and all of the other cool facts about octopuses. When I first watched it, I just got obsessed for a little while because it's that good and it makes you care that much. I highly recommend this. Highly, highly, highly recommend this. I'm going to give it an 8.9. I didn't like it quite as much the second time watching it, but it's still great and very worth watching. Lauren, let's go to you, and then we're going to end with Josh since it was his first time seeing it.
Okay, so you mentioned how he was he like got this relationship with this octopus, but then would like sometimes decide not to interfere because he's like, oh, I can't interfere with nature or whatever. That ticked me off so bad because I was like, oh, sir, you have already interfered with nature. You are his friend. You help him. I'm like, I do not care. I'm like, if you were just like swimming along and there was a random octopus, then yeah, you could pull that whole I can't interfere with nature, but you have already overstepped that line, sir. Like, you helped him, he is your best friend. That ticked me off so bad. Um yeah, there because like there is a certain point where like I hate like I don't think that people should be going in and messing up these ecosystems and stuff, but like the way he was going in and doing like he was doing his normal swim and then he just like happened upon this octopus, and then in his normal thing that he usually does, he ended up having this relationship with this octopus. I think that is fine. And then him not interfering, like I said, made me so angry because I was like, you've already, like, you're part of his ecosystem. Like, if you're telling me that the dolphins that swam around the people to keep a shark from eating them, like, the dolphins are like, oop, sorry. Sorry, shark, I shouldn't interfere with this ecosystem. You know, like, we are part of the ecosystem to a point. Like, I don't think anyway, it's like where you cross that line. I don't think that he was out of bounds to help the octopus at that point. And I'm like, you're not a National Geographic person who's trying to get like the where they actually have strict things of like they can't interfere with things like if a lion's hunting or whatever. Which I also find that joke where it's like when you're watching a polar bear documentary and you're like, yes, get the seal because the polar bear is starving. Or if you're watching the seal documentary and you're like, no, the polar bear shouldn't get the seal. Like, yeah, it's really interesting with all of those things. But once again, since he was doing a thing that was like known to him and kind of like he is part of that ecosystem, he could have helped the freaking octopus. Don't be mean to your friend. But I think he did. There was one part where he was like, screw it. And then he did help the octopus. And I was like, thank you, thank you. But yeah, this was a really like eye-opening thing because like you realize that like I don't know, growing up in a religion and stuff, people are like, don't put like emotions on animals. That's bad. They're just creatures for us to use. And I was like, okay, that's kind of weird because like I can obviously see that some like animals do have emotions and things like that. I'm like I don't, but seeing how intelligent like these creatures are and like was so eye opening with this movie. And like how short their lives are. I did not realize that octopuses don't live that long. But anyway, I love this. My new rating system 10.
All right, Josh.
Um, well, I hate to be this person. I really, really do. But I have varying opinions about this movie.
Okay.
My more positive opinion about this movie is I could not care less. Uh, I was
Okay.
completely uninterested. I found the narrator guy whiny and irritating. Um, and he kept like, you see how it does this? I can learn this life lesson from this thing. And it reminds me of that scene in How I Met Your Mother when they're like being ridiculous and just applying these, or not in Parks and Rec when Ron is teaching how to build a crib and he's trying to learn all these life lessons about like the fitness guy is like, oh, throwing the bad wood in the garbage is like potty training. You're throwing the poop into the toilet. And I'm like, that's what this guy sounds like to me. That's absolutely what this guy sounds like to me. Um, my more negative opinion about this show is after having watched it, I did a little bit of research and like I looked up reviews and it's very highly rated. So I was like, why is this so beloved? So I started reading through reviews, and some of the more negative reviews, if they are correct, I do want to stipulate I have no actual knowledge of this person's life. I have no actual knowledge of this person. Um, Apparently, while he was filming this thing, he was actively protesting and leading a movement to stop documentary series from interfering in plant life. So,
Hmm.
very kind of hypocritical of that. A big element of this show is like he's learning these lessons from this octopus, and he comes to this conclusion of like, I want to spend more time with my son, my family, but meanwhile, he's spending literally 20 hours filming and editing and neglecting his family. So not only is he learning these lessons, he's not listening to them, he's not adhering to them. He's just, um, what's the word? Taking advantage of this octopus and benefiting financially from its existence. And it makes me be very cynical to this situation. There's a term in therapy called projecting. And that to me is kind of what he's doing here. Like the octopus is just living his life. And he's like, look, this octopus is just like me. It feels this same thing as I am. It's doing this thing and I can do it. And I'm like, dude, just don't. Just like stop, please.
Why is that bad?
Because he has no knowledge or interaction with the octopus. He's putting his experience on the octopus's experience as a defense mechanism, in my view, to make up for the fact that he feels like a failure as a father. You know, empathy is a great thing. It is relating to another person, is putting yourself in their shoes. Putting somebody else in your shoes is not beneficial.
So he saw these lessons through an octopus, and he's using the octopus because he saw himself in this octopus.
Yeah.
I do not see it that way.
Okay. That's fine.
Don't either, honestly.
That's okay.
Um, I think it's interesting that like somebody can see an octopus, see something in themselves, and see something that they needed to change. And I know you said you didn't like him saying that it saw him, that he claims that it means he needs to spend more time with his family, and then you claim that he was just using all of that time to film anyway. But I mean, like, I think it's still the message of you being able to see things out in life and have it teach you something is what I got from the show.
So did I.
I think he's framing it that way. I just don't think that that's how he's doing in practice.
Does that
What would make
matter?
it?
Yeah. We've talked about intention versus execution. His intention is to financially benefit and take advantage of this octopus, in my view. I don't think he's actually learning any lessons. That's my point.
What does learning lessons look like from nature to you?
It's applying them to yourself. It's learning. Like I said,
Okay.
I don't know anything about this actual person. I know he makes
Okay.
documentaries. I know he makes uh, nature stuff. I know that he took a break from making nature stuff to make this nature thing. Uh, like I said, I think at its best, it's just a show that I didn't really relate to with. I didn't really care. But if these criticisms of this person and this show are correct, it turns him into a fraud, a fake, right? Like, I am fully acknowledging I don't actually know, right? That's why I framed this review in that way. I don't know him. I don't know his story. This is the first thing I have personally seen from him, right? Uh, to me, it looked like he was just take applying these lessons in a ridiculous way, and I didn't connect to it very well. But at its
That's fair.
worst, it is completely fraudulent and fake. That's why I'm like, I don't know. I think that it's worth having the conversation that it could be that way. That's that's where I'm at.
I think because like you're the first person that I've like had a lot of people watch this show who's had that take on it, and so it's like I would not call it fraudulent if like because we're talking about intent, right? And um it's like it's interesting because I was talking with a friend actually at lunch today how I was saying that like I really like the Harry Potter series. Does that mean that I support with what J.K. Rowling does with her money? No, I like the content she gave out. I love that. That does not mean that I support what she does with her money. Um, Whereas that's where I feel like with this as well, like the intent and what he put out was, I think, inspirational. And a lot of people did relate to that. And whether you relate to it or not, I don't think that that was fraudulent because these were lessons that he had found from the octopus and then put out there. Whether if his intent was to get money or not, um, the intent of the message of the show, I think, is good. And I feel a lot of people took a lot of good from it. So I don't think that that's fraudulent,
I agree.
if that makes sense.
I agree. I think if people learned good things from this, had positive experiences with this, that is good. If he himself did, I think that is also good, right? I personally witnessed it. I saw somebody emotionally projecting his stuff onto an innocent creature, and I don't think that that is good. But that was my experience.
That's interesting, Josh. I didn't get that at all, and I'm not the biggest animal person, but I feel like you learn dog owners love their dogs as much as they do a lot from learning from their dogs, seeing their behaviors, learning about themselves through the interactions that they have with their dogs. And I don't find it that different than what is happening here. Except you have
Yeah.
an octopus who is a smarter creature and more, in ways, more alien. So there's more to discover. I think is a good way of putting that.
I don't agree with that analysis, but that's okay. Right?
Yeah, because that's like what I'm thinking of. Because um, like I have my dog. Would I be emotionally projecting onto him with like all of my stuff and the things that I've learned from him?
it entirely depends, right? Like when you're projecting, right? It's usually a defense mechanism. Like you love your dog, right? You
Hmm.
love your dog for who he is. You love him for how he helps you feel. How he, the interactions you have with him. You love him for 1,000 different reasons, right? I don't think projecting is a healthy thing. I don't think it is healthy to say, right? If you were to sit there and say, I love my dog because my dog is exactly like me, because I did this and I see this behavior, so the dog must also be feeling this, right? I don't think that
Is it
that's good. But you're not assuming your dog's feelings, to my knowledge. I've only ever seen you treat your dog with love and respect and protection, and your dog treats you with love and respect and protection. But like, when you assume something about somebody else, right? You make an ass out of you and me, right? That's how I viewed him treating this octopus. This octopus didn't could just be doing something completely different, and he is assigning this octopus thoughts and feelings and emotions.
How many like documentaries have you watched like this, like animal
I was
documentaries?
born in the late 90s, so I was born and raised watching Planet Earth, Blue Planet, those kind of shows, but it's not super my thing.
I was gonna say, I feel like this is very normal for how these documentaries go, of how like they will say like, oh, this she's frustrated because of this and that, or I feel like that's like a narrative point um for the documentaries, and for this it felt more like not projecting, but he could like see himself in the octopus, which I guess if you want to call that projecting. Um, and then he did like have a connection with the octopus. Um, but I feel like where it would get toxic with what you're talking about is if he's being like, oh, this octopus is scared here, so I'm going to rehome him and he has to live with me now and stuff like that, where he didn't really like him projecting or whatever didn't really affect the octopus other than he was just swimming with the octopus a lot, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, yes. The I think that that's just taking it to another level of deciding to take the octopus in, right? Um, but like the definition of projecting is to assume similarity, right? Uh, you assume abilities, preferences, thoughts, actions onto something else. That's all projecting in the psychological definition means, right? It's not taking its experience. He's not taking the octopus's experience and putting himself in that situation. He's putting himself in the octopus's situation. Does that make any kind of sense? So he
Mm-hmm.
is assuming the octopus's actions are like his, which is projecting. He's not taking, he's
Okay.
pushing, he's putting out that. I don't think that that's, the line between that and empathy can be very, very thin, but I think it does make a difference. And that's what I saw. I'm not saying everybody needs to see this. I think if this is a net positive for society, that is absolutely great. From what I see in nature documentaries, I do see them as different because when you're watching Planet Earth, what's his name? The narrator, Attenborough, doesn't sit there and go, now this is the life lesson we need to be learning from this action. He's like, that animal is scared because he just got hunted, right? Like, I think that is a safe, thing. He's not putting himself and saying that this is why he was doing it or what was happening or what all that situation. Um, they are different to me. Um, and while uh, normal documentaries are generally just about the life itself, right? You're just learning about penguins and how they act and, what their behavior patterns are and how, they give pebbles as a form of proposing and that kind of stuff, right? This one is all about, taking in from life, right? It's framed as, taking from nature and learning and applying it to yourself. And it is framed differently too. So,
Well, I'm
Very
sad you
interesting.
didn't get the net positive the rest of us did with this show. Hit the wrong buttons, but
I'm glad that you watched it, and I'm glad we had this discussion. It was actually a really interesting one. Um, Anybody watching, you should watch My Octopus Teacher. It is an interesting show. Lauren and I loved it. Josh actually made some really good points. I like this. He thought that out particularly well, in my opinion. That's going to be our episode. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And next week, we're going to be watching the live action Avatar episodes 1 and 2 of season 2. Hopefully, you will join along with us. We'll see you next time.